a system of equations. That is, when two or more equations form a team. When two or more equations form a team, we'll have y equals negative 1/2 x plus 1, and we'll have y equals 4x minus 3. So both of these equations are in the form y equals mx plus b, so we know they are linear equations. And let's go ahead and plot them on our xy chart. So I will draw our first equation in pink and our second equation in purple. So for our first equation, our y-intercept is 1. So that's 1 point on our line. And our slope is negative 1 over 2. That is in our rise over run format. So we rise negative 1, or we go down 1 and we run 2. So starting at our y-intercept, we go down 1 and then we run 2. And so that is where our second point is. And we can go ahead and draw the line. And now, looking at our second equation, y equals 4x minus 3, we have a y-intercept at negative 3. And we have a slope of 4. So you can think of it as, for every increase of x by 1, y goes up by 4. Or you can think of it in our rise over run format. You can think of it as 4 over 1. So we rise 4, and we run 1. In our first way, as I mentioned, for every time x increases by 1, y goes up by 4. Either interpretation will get you to that second point. So let's draw that line. Okay, so we have both of these lines, both of these equations plotted on our xy chart. So there's this blue point right here. That is where those two lines cross. And the fancy term for cross in mathematics is intersect. So we say that the two lines intersect. And that means that there is an x and y that is a solution to both equations. So let's mark the coordinate for our blue point with an orange x and a purple y. This orange x and purple y, that is a solution to both equations. So let's bring down our two equations. Our orange x and purple y satisfy the first equation, and they also satisfy the second equation. So how can we figure out what our orange x and purple y are? Well, if you notice, our purple y equals negative 1/2 x plus 1, and it also equals 4x minus 3. So we can take this 4x minus 3 and substitute it in our first equation. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll have 4 times x minus 3 equals, and so doing this, substituting that 4x minus 3 into the first equation, that leaves us with an equation with just x. So we can get x by itself and figure out what that orange x is. So we're one step closer to the solution. And another way to think about this is that what we just did is we essentially just set our purple y's equal to each other. All right. So we want to get x by itself. Let's move our x's to the left side. So we do that by adding 1/2 x to both sides. And that leaves us with 4.5 x, or 4.5 x. And then we add 3 to both sides. And that leaves us with 4.5 x, which I'll write as a fraction, 9/2. We'll see in just a second why. And that equals 4. And what we want to do next to get x by itself is to multiply by the fraction flipped. So 2/9 times 9/2. If you notice, we can cancel out the 2's and the 9's. And so we're just left with 1 times x, or just x. But don't forget, you have to do the same thing to both sides. And that leaves us with our orange x is equal to 8/9. So we figured out what our orange x is. It's 8/9. So this right here, our x coordinate, is 8/9. And as you can see, it's right below 1. 8/9 is really close to 1. So what do we do now? We have our orange x, and how can we get our purple y? Well, going back to our original two equations, if we know our orange x, we can plug it into either of those equations and figure out what our purple y is. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll take this first equation. Y equals -1/2 times x, which is 8/9 plus 1. All right, and our 8 here, we can rewrite as 2 times 4. That allows us to cancel these 2's. And we're left with -4/9 plus 1. And we can rewrite our 1 as 9/9, so we have two fractions with like denominators. And that leaves us with 5/9. So now we know our purple y. Our purple y is 5/9. So it's almost midway between 0 and 1. So now we know our orange x and our purple y. We know where these two lines cross. We know the solution that satisfies both equations. So we can say the solution to the system of equations, to our team of equations, is x equals 8/9 and y equals 5/9.